Welcome to part 3 of RadicalSoda's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review! If you haven't seen the other parts, the playlist is right there! Okay, let's get started.
Looks like the evil team of this game, Team Star, is harassing a fellow student who isn't wearing the uniform. Isn't that interesting? You know what? This ain't my problem. I'll see you later. Just kidding. Who would I be if I didn't help out? Are you kidding me? I gotta wait again? Look out, Team Star. It's me, gender fluid. Do I need a poop? What's with the squat walk? Huh? You want in on this too? Not really. Is toilet around here? We're Team Star, kid. We burn too bright to even look at directly. But you knew that, right? No, golly, I'm not the only one in need of a toilet. It's our first fight against Team Star and... Oh, come on. Is it just me, or is something about this theme awfully familiar? I'm not kidding around. It sounds like some freaky-ass lost content Sonic Forces level.
What the heck? A whole army of dead robots?
At least the main section of it does. The rest of it sounds pretty good. That's right, Team Star. Maybe you'll think twice next time you take on... Jesus Christ! Nemona pops down from the school after the battle and gives us our very own Terror Orb and forces the other Team Star member to battle us so we can practice using it. It's kind of funny, actually. You can only terrestrialize once per Pokemon Center visit, which is a nice change compared to Mega Evolution and Z moves, where you could just plow through each route in the game because basically no regular trainers actually got to use the Generations gimmick. It's sort of the same here, where no actual trainers other than gym leaders and the rivals use terrestrialization, but hey, at least there's some sort of limit placed on it, right? Here we go. Get ready for the big struggle bug. I don't like this gimmick. Do you think the town folk like freak out every time the sunlight suddenly disappears, or do you think they're used to it by now? Anyway, so once all that's dealt with, the Team Star members run away because if they didn't, they would have, well, beat them up real bad because I'm real strong. And the student not wearing the uniform thanks us for helping out. Nemona tells us to get ready to climb the worst staircase in the world. Doesn't look that hard. Practically sliding up the damn thing. Okay, so there's a TM on the roof over there, meaning I'll be able to get up there at some point. I'll pretend I didn't see that. Welcome to Naranja Academy! I would not have remembered the name if not for the big-ass text popping up on the screen. Man, they really didn't bother making it easy to read, did they? I get going with the style and all, but adding even the tiniest little drop shadow to the pure white text doesn't do nearly as much as you think it does. Ever watched a video or like an anime with subtitles without an outline? I know you have, and it stinks real bad. Anyway, the Academy! I think expanding upon the trainer school featured in every other Pokemon game and giving it some real content and story relevance was a really neat idea. I mean, let's be honest, when's the last time you actually went into one of these things willingly? Sun and Moon probably had the most content in a trainer school before this, but it was really only battle for trainers and then bugger off. Although they did do the whole cornered school side mission stuff, which was neat. Don't get me wrong though, Naranja's got its fair share of ghosts as well. Here we are inside! Psyduck the receptionist. Jesus, he's a big boy. I'm sorry I keep going on about this, but he is nearly a meter tall. I mean, who's making these Pokemon sizes? Oh, and by the way, while I'm talking about Psyduck, did you know that it's available in every single mainline Pokemon game? Why is this, you may ask? Well, you see, Psyduck just so happens to be the Game Freak director Junichi Masuda's favorite thing in all of Pokemon. Kinda wish his favorite thing was quality control, but hey, that's just how it is. Okay, so apparently Mr. Masuda hasn't actually directed any Pokemon games since Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. I think he wanted Psyduck as the counterpart to Pikachu at first. You know, Let's Go Pikachu and Psyduck. But Sword and Shield and Sun and Moon? Nah, just a producer. The director of those games, and of course this game, is Shigeru Omori, who you'll probably recognize from the Pokemon Presents videos, where they advertise mobile games for half an hour and then give you 5 seconds of concept art for the next mainline game. Now, I'm not saying our chum Shigeru here is ruining Pokemon or anything, but I am saying that he directed ORAS, and we all know what happened there. It was the sign of the end times! Anyway, yes, Psyduck is here. Hello, you chubby little skank. After speaking with Clavel, our favorite short king, it's time for our very first lesson. At some point, come on, you're loading a single classroom. What's the holdup? Holy crap! The class here is like 50% Android! They are taking over at an astounding rate. Could I trouble you for a few words introducing yourself? Oh, I get it. Feed all my information to the AI drones. Subtle. Real subtle. Who wants to be the first to ask our new friend a question? Me! Can I ask a question? What's your favorite thing about Pokemon? Ah, it's gotta be the consistent frame rate. Whoa! What the heck is going on here? Just speaking about a consistent frame rate, this is... weirdly playable. It's the only place in the game this stable. It's gotta be a glitch. Unfortunately, as I said before, the school isn't, well, you know, a school in layout per se. It's a bunch of separate rooms connected via menu screen. No Persona-style academy in this game, I'm afraid. Could you imagine Game Freak trying to render a hallway? What are you, insane? The teacher's lounge is our first stop. Man, it's gotta be tough being a teacher with all that teleporting paper flying around. We get a little glance at a character of an unknown name. She looked awesome. Awesome! Mr. Soderbergh, are you high? She's got more in common with a sleep demon. And Nimona talks us into starting the gym challenge, or as the game calls it, Victory Road. I was gonna make a joke like, wow, that was quick, here I am, and show Victory Road footage, but then I remembered this game doesn't actually have a Victory Road. No kidding, this is it. A couple of trainers in a building, that's it, folks. The Elite Four, right there. So much for spectacle. This guy ain't even holding on to the paper. Nimona puts the Pokemon gym locations on our map. Sorry, our map app. And hey, look at that! No numbers, no set path. You are free to tackle these gyms in whatever order you wish. Now, I can't imagine the wild Pokemon's levels would scale like the gym levels do, but it's still a neat idea and something you can only really do in an open-world Pokemon game. It doesn't take that much effort to add in, just a simple check to see how many badges you have and then set up the gym leader's Pokemon in response to that. Buddy, the camera's this way. But more about the gyms once we get to them. There's more school to explore. Hooray! Or at least what qualifies as exploring in a game like this. I don't know why these kids are so excited about Gengar's size. Haunter's actually bigger and Ghastly's barely smaller. Seriously, look it up. Again, who's in charge of the sizes here? I spent my whole life thinking Ghastly was like a little bigger than a basketball. What a weird sort of whiplash. Found Arvin in the cafeteria, and now that me and him are best friends for some reason, he's also got a mission for us. And surprisingly, it doesn't just boil down to defeat blank amount of enemy trainers. Arvin wants to make some sick picnics and needs us to help out to track down the Oregano Arcania, essentially a sort of herb which gives the consumer special effects, like lowering blood pressure. They're guarded by huge Pokemon called Titans. Titans, Titans, Titans! Come up with a new name, companies, please. Anything? Big boys. I'll take big boys. I'll get to the Titans when we get to them. But before that, I just want to mention, does anyone else think Arvin's hair looks kind of like a Squovit just kind of squatting over his head? Is Arvin bald? The Titan locations are set up onto our map app as well, and just like the gym leaders, it seems we can tackle them in any order, which is good. What? I'm not going to give Game Freak a standing ovation for doing the bare minimum I'd expect in an open-world Pokemon game. Simple level scaling is so easy, even I can do it. It's really not that hard. Arvin then proceeds to bribe us. Okay then, dude, I actually liked you before. Now you're gonna go and sweeten the deal? This guy keeps getting better and better! Hello? Who the hell is this?
I hacked your smartphone so I could talk to you. Hope you don't mind.
Of course not. It's hard to be mad at a dead man.
My name's Cassiopeia.
From League of Legends! Cassiopeia here wants us to take down Team Star because we're going to anyway. It's a Pokemon game with an evil team. That's just kind of how it's done. And after the phone call's over, Clavel once again barges on in. Hang on a minute. Try to keep your voice down if you're making calls within the school. Don't want anyone else overhearing any personal information. Yo, this man's giving off some real snaky vibes, if you get where I'm going with this. I mean, look at that wave. That's the unmistakable smooth motion of a serpent. Dude, give your Weasel a bite of your sandwich, you heartless bastard. I don't know why Pokemon games keep insisting I answer the NPC's insipid questions. All three of these quest givers ask if you want to help out and then immediately afterwards say, oh, wait a minute, don't want to hear the answer now. I didn't mean it. It's too big a decision. Suck my ass. And with all that done, we're finally ready to begin our Pokemon adventure for real. Ah, you bitch.
Miss Mr. Soderbergh to the director's office, please.
That's Mr. Soderbergh to you. Well, nothing for it. Better get going. Holy ghost, was that a Molly? Hey lady, did you see that? I feel like I should be more surprised, but Colors Ultimate really prepared me for this. It made me the man I am today. Instead of going to the office, I thought I'd take a class with Mr. J.K. the Bible. Throughout the game, you unlock classes with various teachers working at the school. Each one has a little bit of info you might not have known and a single question to keep you on your toes. Ooh. This idea could be really cool in a game that's not Pokemon. Again, Persona comes to mind. There's a, time-based system there. You can choose how to spend your time and level up different skills as a result. The lessons here kind of just boil down to glorified cutscenes, a couple of text boxes, and then a question you either know the answer to or who the hell do you think I am? I don't know. Again, there's something something I like about this. It fleshes out the teachers a bit as characters, which is neat, and sometimes the stuff they talk about is genuinely kind of interesting. But you unlock the lessons in bulk, and then so you just kind of slam your way through them while you're at the school, and eventually leading to the loading screens feeling longer than the lessons themselves. It may be an option at the end of each lesson to just hang around in the classroom, stay for the next class. It would have made this a little more streamlined. You start the game off with 6 lessons unlocked immediately, so that's already a full 60 seconds of loading just to get to the damn things, not including scrolling through the slow-ass menus, of course. I know it doesn't sound like all that much of a deal now that I'm saying it out loud, 60 seconds. It doesn't sound like a lot of your life, but obviously there's a lot of optimizing they could have done here. Respecting the player's time is an important part of game design, and you want your players to have a good experience, right? Of course, there's other parts of the game that could have been optimized. Highest grossing media franchise in the world. Either way, me not mentioning the clunky-ass classes here because the rest of the game's in shambles by proxy would be even more silly in my opinion. Every part of the game adds up to the whole, so each and every aspect of it is subject to the same discerning eye that is mine. If I just ignored the lesser problems in this game, like these long loading screens and clunky menus, it'd be kind of like saying I shouldn't have pointed out how Sonic doesn't have a falling animation in Forces because the level design sucked. Yes, one is obviously a bigger problem than the other, but that still doesn't excuse this sort of crap. Managed to sneak a Forces roast in here after all. 10 seconds of orange later, and there he is, Mr. J.K. Christ himself. He doesn't say all that much of value except how to press ZR to throw out your Pokemon, and who can blame him, right? It's our first class after all. I remember my first day of school, how I learned how to press the circle button to slide! Can anyone tell me where it is that you shouldn't have your Pokemon walk along with you? Huh? These are all fine, I don't get it. The correct answer is that we should not walk with our Pokemon indoors. How about that? Yeah. How about that? Apparently JK, our Lord and Savior, is doing classes back to back. As I said before, there are 6 classes here unlocked from the beginning, but there are only 3 teachers at first, each one having 2 periods. You unlock more classes and teachers the further you get in the game. Weird way to word it, right? Unlocking classes and teachers. Mr. JK gives us the rundown on how eggs work in this generation. Instead of breeding 2 Pokemon in the daycare, now there is no daycare. Instead, you may find an egg in your picnic basket when you're picnicking with your Pokemon. Wait, but how does that work? I'm sitting right here making a sandwich. Don't you fuckers try anything, not while I'm sitting here. We'll get into picnicking a little later on, but for now, as far as egg creation goes, this is a fine way to do it. In the last few mainline games, the daycare doesn't even give XP to your Pokemon anymore, so there's not much they could have done to really make it worse. At least this way you can set up wherever you want and let your Pokemon go to a hypothetical town. So anyway, the lessons, they're pretty cool as far as Pokemon class goes. Biology of Pokemon, unfortunately, doesn't really go into all that much depth as far as, biology goes. It's all very surface level stuff most Pokemon players already would know. Would have really loved to see some interesting facts about Pokemon and how they function, like, what a ghost-type Pokemon eat? Are Geodudes rock on the inside too, or are they flesh? Why is Regice so sexy? Is Magcargo really hotter than the sun, or was that just a tall tale in one of the Pokédex entries? Like, come on, give me something I can use here! But I suppose a little of something is better than nothing of something. Maybe the next class can satisfy my Pokemon knowledge cravings. What do we got? Math. I love math! Miss Time is our teacher for the next class, and I gotta say it. They keep shoving them in like every mainstream game now just to appease a certain group. Can we please just stop making games so political and just keep these mathematicians out of video games? I don't want to have to do math to figure out how much damage I'm doing. Stop it. Now, if the Mona starter battle didn't already clue you in on type matchups, I just want to clarify the last joke about mathematicians. I was mocking the people on social media who say, keep politics out of video games, even though the games are, filled with political stories because they're not actually complaining about politics, rather they're using that word instead of saying what they really mean, which is that they're a bunch of bigoted, racist, gayist misogynists. Let's all point and laugh at them. Now, if the Mona starter battle didn't already clue you in on type matchups, here's your second chance to really soak it in. I get asked a question about what happens when you water gun a fire type. Pretty hard one, but I did manage to guess the answer, and of course we're straight on to the second lesson. If I had to deal with it, so do you. Okay, question here is, if I have 2,000 Pokédollars and a Pokeball costs 200, how many balls could I buy? Well, 10, duh. Oh, the Premier Ball, right. And that counts as a regular Pokeball in your eyes, does it, Miss Time? You asked how many Pokeballs I would have, not Premier Balls! In all seriousness, nice moves there, Game Freak. Getting cheeky with it, I like it, you got me. Battle Studies with Miss Dendra. My first thought was something similar to Pokestar Studios, pick the right move for the right situation. If you haven't done Pokestar Studios, don't worry, turns out Miss Dendra doesn't want anything to do with it. No, in Battle Studies, we learn all about battling. Whoa! Holy crap! Did somebody say, I have a crush on the teacher? It was me. That was me speaking. Holy crap! Again! A canon age for an attractive Pokemon character? That's something Pokemon needs to do more of. I swear to God, I gotta say something to all of you out there who have a thing for, like, Mallow or Lana. You could be a Minecraft YouTuber. Look at this. My age? 25. My hobby? Working out. My type? Pathetic white guys who review Pokemon games? I don't really feel like I have to go through all that much that was said here. If you don't know that Pokemon moves are separated into physical and special, well, now you do. And apparently you can share during a Terra Raid battle, whatever that is. But, sounds great. Wham Bam Potion! You said it, Toots. That's all the lessons for now. I'll take this any day over the boring-ass tutorial trainer school they usually pull. Again, it's nice to see the teachers and their personalities. So forward-thinking, Game Freak. Now that's a real mixing of the races. Oh, that's right, I'm supposed to be going to the director's office. Is that a common thing in Pokemon Land? You got a director instead of a principal? Or was the word principal too schoolish? Maybe would have driven the Kiddlywinks away? So you won't use the word principal, but you'll chuck in 2 periods of math. No, that makes sense. I've got a feeling I'm the only one with this question. Maybe the website will give me some clarification. Hang on, he's a twin? Alright boys, now who here's done a Zeddy's Slammin' Sandwich before? I will say it's neat how even in the buildings the music transitions to a separate version of the theme depending on what sort of room you're in. Like the loud, excited theme of the main school entrance to the calm and quiet director's office. Speaking of, man needs to get himself a bigger chair or a lower desk. He's looking like Spider-Man right about now. Clavel wants us to meet the professor of the region, or as we've heard of her, Arvin's mum, over Skype. Crikey! Dick, her animations are stiff. Look at her head, it's rock solid. Don't tell me she's one of them, too. Listen to that digital ass theme. This woman's a robot! Oh, there it is! Sonic Frontiers Third Island. Oh my god. Whatever it's called. Who named the islands in that game? I can't remember any of their names. At least here it's just called Area Zero, like something an edgy kid would call their treehouse. The professor is, in fact, a graduate of our fine academy, as well as a splendid researcher. Ah. I think she shut down. Ooh, you could tell the game was having a tough time on that transition. Professor Sada simply asks us to continue our journey with Koraidon and see if we can help it regain its power and figure out its mysteries. It's not a big quest like Nemona, Arvin's, or Cassiopeia's. Rather, she just kind of tacks it on to Arvin's. You'll see why later. Or you're already aware why, and you're just listening to this because it auto-played on YouTube while you're asleep. It's why I made the intro less loud than the Sword and Shield video. Rather, I didn't wake you up with the hi! Looking at my notes here for this cutscene that I wrote down while I was watching it and playing the game for the first time, and by proxy I'm breaking the fourth wall here a little. I guess that Koraidon was a quote-unquote Titan version of Cyclizar, a Pokemon I haven't yet talked about. I thought this due to the picture of what looked like a Titan version of Donphan in Arvin's book back in the cafeteria, which I didn't bother showing on screen because reading, am I right? And well, surprise, surprise, I was pretty much bang on, like aside from Titans absolutely being their own thing, but I thought Koraidon was an alternate version of Cyclizar at the center of it, and that's what matters. Giving myself a pat on the back for that one, solving the world's easiest mystery made for babies. Well, it seems that the professor is asking quite the favor of you. But of course, the Academy, I do hope you'll continue. Really? No see ya, no good luck, just turn your back and pretend I'm not there? Nemona barges in because that's just how she rolls and shows us our dorm room. This room, despite the game really pointing it out to you, lacks any real reason to be here. There's nothing to do. It just absolutely screams cut content. I mean, what doesn't, am I right? There is literally zero reason for you to have a room here. You can sleep in it, and that's it. I don't even know if you can sleep in it unless the story demands it. It would never came up. I never had to go here. Gee whiz, I'm sure some of the devs had plans to let you customize your room with items you can find and purchase throughout the Paldean region, and I'm sure the school was supposed to play a larger role with maybe more to do, but I get it. If Game Freak doesn't release Pokemon games years before they're done, something awful happens. we get a finished product. Even the cutscene immediately afterwards gives us a sneak peek of maybe what they wanted to do, you know, school life and all. But nah, skip through the days and give us a text box instead, taking a page out of Sonic Forces, I see. Wow, second Sonic Forces reference. Can we get a counter in the corner, please? After a delightful, 4 days at Naranja Academy, Nemona once again barges in because that's all she does apparently. Camera turned a little too far, showing us the horrors of the void. But hey, who cares, right? It's Pokemon, and it's finally time to, play the game. I've been waiting forever, blah, 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 schoolyard. Huh? Nah, just kidding. But you believe that happened, right? That totally could have been a thing here. Your faith in Scarlet and Violet is the size of a small chickpea. It's not just me, right? Oh, the choices! Why even give me the option? Just make the whole thing a cutscene. Nemona barges in and says, hey, let's go to the schoolyard, and then we just go to the schoolyard. This is like the equivalent of a mobile game forcing you through each and every menu, making sure you're still paying attention. Not that this game is as bad as mobile games, let's make that clear. No matter how terrible Pokemon games will get, they'll always be miles above that cesspit of filth. Give me any modern Pokemon game over that crap. This video is sponsored by Red. A nice little cutscene is waiting for us in the schoolyard. In fact, it's the very same one from the trailer. Okay, look, as we know, there's no voice acting in the game. Personally, couldn't give less of a shit if Pokemon adds voice acting or not. It's not one of those games that really, needs it. But with that being said, if Game Freak is gonna insist on following that formula, they gotta stop adding cutscenes that need voice acting. I said this before with the Nemona cutscene. Obviously, this isn't the most egregious example, lest we forget Sword and Shield. But this shit sucks too. If you're gonna dump the story on us in a cutscene, that's fine. But you can't treat it like a regular cutscene. Simply having the regular text box progression would have made this feel a lot less, unnatural. It's like everyone's conversing via telepathy. It's kind of creepy. What's this supposed to be, a silent movie? I don't want to keep referencing Sonic, but that immediately made the Sonic Generations final cutscene spring to mind, where we're meant to be super far away from the Eggmen so we can't hear them scream at each other, but the light footsteps are very much so still audible. I mean, they could just be, angrily pointing at each other, but I don't know, whatever. Yeah, you show me those pictures of the vast landscape. They're pictures, because if they tried to render in a real, setting, the game would explode. And with that, the school is ready to release us all on our Pokemon treasure hunt. What treasure we will find is up to us. Friendship? Fortune? Is this all the students of the school? There's 20. Then again, I'm surprised they can even put this many people in a single area all at once without the frame rate dipping into single digits. Tomaya! It's time for the great outdoors! My butchering aside, I guess that canonizes the Spanish language in the Pokemon world. Hey look, it's Cyclizar, the thing I said Koraidon was an alternate form of. Why don't we slip into a RadicalSoda's Pokemon evaluation, huh? Cyclizar is one of those Pokemon made specifically for the lore of Scarlet and Violet. Obviously, Game Freak wanted you to have it sort of mount during gameplay, and obviously we got the legendary duo, one for each game, but of course random NPCs aren't going to have a Koraidon at their beck and call. So that's how, I'm assuming anyway, Cyclizar was created, and they just sort of worked in the Paradox form stuff, tying it into a neat little bow. Now obviously I'd prefer it if we could utilize our own Pokemon to ride around on instead of relying on a legendary given to us at the start of the game, but we get what we're given, and as a result, Cyclizar feels like a little bit of an afterthought. I want to ride Cyclizar. I want to go out into the wilderness and catch myself a friend that can whisk me away places. Yes, I have the quote-unquote better version of it, but I want to fit in, damn it. Every time I hop onto this big bulky bastard, I get main character syndrome. Oh, look at me, I'm so much better than you regular folk. Now, this is me just being petty. Koraidon and by proxy Miraidon are the main plot points of the story, and without them, parts of it wouldn't really make much sense, but damn it. The reason I get so uppity about not being able to ride a Cyclizar is because I like it. Not when it's hunched over so much and it looks a little bit creepy, but when it's being ridden or when it does that dinosaur roar, I think it's pretty neat. It's got several bike-themed elements on it without making it look too stupid, like the helmet and the mud guard. The cheeks could be like light reflectors, maybe. It's got the big puffy chest sack that looks like a wheel, and then it curls up its tail to look like the second wheel, which I will admit does look a little goofy. I still don't know why they made the wheel so big that he's scraping the ground at this point. And even though I said Cyclizar does kind of get shoved aside thanks to its beefed up brothers, it did actually get its own signature move, Shed Tail, which is like if you used Substitute and Baton Pass in a single turn. And not only that, but it gets the ability Regenerator, meaning it barely loses any health for doing so. This thing got banned out of OU faster than you can even say Cyclizar. He was gone, he was out of there. All in all, I like him, and I wish I could ride him. I realize I talked about Cyclosaur way more in depth than I usually do, or that I'm supposed to. Usually I just mention the design, but I guess I care so much because Game Freak made a canon transport Pokemon but then refused to let us write it. Anyone else feel just a little miffed off by that? There are lots of different people in Pokemon at the school. Oh no, they're making Psyduck androids now too? Nemona explains the treasure hunt a little more in depth to us as we make our way down the school stairs. As I said before, it's more of a spiritual... Hang on a minute, how the hell are any kids in wheelchairs gonna get to the school? You expecting them to bunny hop their way up Clavel? No ramp, no lift? Maybe they'll have a Pokemon to ride them to the top, but even then, clearly not everybody has a Pokemon in the Pokemon universe. In fact, some kids would be too young to own one. What an awful school, Jesus. Arvin butts in to tell Nemona to get off our back because apparently we're gonna be fighting the Titans instead of doing the gym challenge. Whatever happened to, oh, I don't need your answer now, it's too big of an ask. You too, Nemona, you did the exact same thing. Cassiopeia, not you too! There we go, 5 leaders scattered across the map. At least that's more content, I guess. You know, add all the gym leaders and Team Star members up and you've got the perfect amount to give each one a unique type, which is exactly what Game Freak did. Well, would you look at that? Wait, where's Rock? Dark type still getting shafted though, relegated to a Team Star boss. I mean, yeah, we got a Kahuna, Nanu, and Spikemuth Gym, but Kahunas aren't real gym leaders and peers. And despite being a cool character, it doesn't get Dynamaxing in his gym fight, along with living in a hallway. Not to mention a selective mutism. I mentioned our beefy boy before, but here's where we finally get access to Koraidon. Just not in battle. Yep, we can finally get on his back and take him for a spin. Unfortunately, he also has the super weird inflated chest and big ass tail stuck under him while being ridden, which... yes, it does indeed drag along the ground, so, or it looks so a lot of the time. I don't know who signed off on this. I get it from Koraidon, it's a futuristic motorbike Pokemon, so it makes sense to use the wheels, but for these two who gallop around on all fours, not so much. I don't know, I can't imagine a big skin flap coming out my front and dragging along the soil and the rocks and the thorns and the... Woohoo! Only far too many minutes into the video and we can finally go wherever we please. And the game's telling me there's more classes to take. What a weird time to do it. Yeah, this treasure hunt sounds great and all, but I've got homework to do. I thought all the students were away on their own treasure hunt anyway. Why are they scheduling classes now? Ignoring the children struggling to maintain their existence in this reality, this has got to be the stiffest jump I've ever seen. It's like if somebody made the first half of the leap and then Koraidon gets to the apex and then they just sort of rotated the model around. Jesus. I know the animation quality isn't stellar here, Game Freak, but I'd expect a little more quality for something I'm gonna see 6 billion times throughout the game. I checked out the map to see which direction I should head first, and hey, I just noticed the custom map music transition here too. Is this where all the budget went? To the musical artists? Meanwhile, the graphics team is trying to scrape by on an old ham sandwich and a bowl of pocket lint. I saw the Psychic Gym down at the bottom left of the map. Not too far away, I figured, and it'd be neat to see what they'd do with the first batch Psychic Gym. Not to mention, who's this babe? So I decided to head there first. I don't want to keep harping on and on about the performance. I know it gets annoying after a while, but like, it's really hard not to. We're just trying to walk through the city, has graphical glitches happening left, right, and center. Things popping in and out of existence. I slightly understand things popping in, like in Sword and Shield, but for some reason, everything jitters in and out. I have no idea even how that had happened. Like frame rate drops, slow down, low FPS NPC models. I just can't really wrap my head around it, I suppose. This isn't me spawning like 100 oranges in Gary's mod and stress testing my computer. This is just walking through a city. Like, normally, the game was made by the richest multimedia franchise in the world! It just boggles my fucking mind! Anyway, so I leave the city from the west gate as per Nemona's request. Koraidon shrinks down to the size of a small dog and evaporates. Which is really funny. Nemona insists I take on the bug-type gym leader first, which I actually end up doing. And off we go, through the gate and into the beyond. I think I can count the frames on that one. Yep, 1, 2, 3. Absolutely outstanding, Pokemon Scarlet. The excitement's killing me. Or maybe that's just old age creeping in with all these loading screens. Ah, here we are in the vast open world of Paldea. Immediately right out of the gate, I get given strawberries, cheese, and jam from a picnicker. What a combination. And then she heals my team because golly gee, the Pokemon Center 20 feet away is just too far, I guess. I couldn't make that. Lots of Pokemon out here just kind of hanging out. I mean, I get not every Pokemon can have its own unique environmental storytelling like Cretabazinga, but, you know, something would have been great. Like, Maripa's a sheep. Shouldn't it be in some sort of herd? Or is this one the badass loner of the group? Oh, right, trainers. Almost forgot about them. Huh? Okay, I'm not 100% sure on what just happened, but as far as I can tell, I talked to the trainer, clipped into Koraidon's anus halfway into the ground, floated up out of the ground, through Koraidon, then it disappeared with all the subtlety of a fart in a church. Did I miss anything? Even the Hop-Ups came over to see what the hell happened. They're as confused as I am. One thing I will say is nice. Wait, no. Sun and Moon did it first. My bad. I was going to mention how you can see the stats of your Pokemon on the same page as the move you got to learn. I've been playing Black and White, and sometimes it's a bit of a guessing game as to whether or not you should learn a special attacking move or a physical one. But as I said, Sun and Moon. Surely Scarlet and Violet has other quality of life changes, right? Like the evolution items from Legends Arceus. You can evolve Haunter and other trade evolutions with an item now instead of having to pay a subscription to Nintendo Online and bother all your friends to let you trade over a Machoke and then back again. Of course, you may have guessed I'm being intentionally misleading here. Of course they didn't keep that change because that'd mean... I don't know, their customers would like them more? Where the heck is this guy looking? Hey, buddy, you're staring at my crotch. I don't think I mentioned how you can rotate and move the camera in battles now. Yeah, it's not just like a dynamic camera when you start the battle. Now you can move it and jiggle it to your content. I want to so desperately talk about the issues with the battle camera, but I'm just going to wait until they rear up a little more. We'll get to it. I'm just so excited.
But not as excited as you're gonna be while you're waiting for next time on Radical Soda's crappy Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review. Did I say crappy? I meant garbage. Will Mr. Soderbergh make it to the first gym? It only took 3 episodes to get through the tutorial. After all, I'm sure we'll get through it in no time flat. Will the open plains of Paldea take our breath away, or just take our money and run? Jesus, what do you think? And oh my goodness, I was joking about the Sonic Forces reference. I completely forgot it was in the script. Get help, man! Get help now!